a heist, not buried in a desert, taken in the name of democracy. Iraq, 2003. Libya, 2011. The Congo, Mali, Ghana. Every country where the West arrived with bombs and speeches, left with empty vaults and broken museums. Today we connect the dots the mainstream media refuses to draw. This is the story behind the story. April 2003. American tanks roll into Baghdad. Saddam Hussein is gone. The regime has fallen. And the first thing that gets looted? Not a weapons depot, not a military base, the National Museum of Iraq, the cradle of civilization, ransacked in 36 hours. The Iraq National Museum held some of the world's most important ancient artifacts from Mesopotamia. On April 10, 2003, the first looters entered. Over the next 36 hours, these thieves ransacked the institution. The New York Times called it one of the greatest cultural disasters in recent Middle Eastern history. 15,000 artifacts. Gone. Tablets from the world's first written language, Sumerian statues, Babylonian seals, 5,000 years old. And where were the American soldiers? Defense Secretary Donald Rumsfeld rejected blame for soldiers who stood by as the looting occurred. He said at a news conference, "It is difficult to stop. Difficult to stop, but easy to watch." Now the money. In 2004, the Bush administration flew billions of dollars in cash into Iraq. The money came from Iraqi oil sales, surplus United Nations funds, and seized Iraqi assets. An audit found the United States was unable to account for $8.7 billion in Iraqi oil money. After 3 audits, $18 billion remained missing. Iraq's parliament called it a financial crime and asked the United Nations for help. Their letter stated, "All indications are that the institutions of the United States committed financial corruption by stealing the money of the Iraqi people." A theft, dressed up as liberation. Now Libya, a country sitting on Africa's largest oil reserves, a leader who had something more dangerous than weapons. He had a plan. In 2009, Gaddafi proposed that the African continent adopt the gold dinar, a new currency backed by gold, used for oil transactions on the world market. If African oil is sold in gold and not dollars, the petrodollar is finished. This was not in the newspapers. It was in Hillary Clinton's private emails. An April 2011 email to Clinton with the subject line, "France's client and Gaddafi's gold," revealed that Gaddafi held 143 tons of gold and a similar amount in silver. This gold was intended to establish a pan-African currency. France led the charge to bomb Libya. France, whose currency controlled 14 African nations. The country that stood to lose everything if Gaddafi succeeded. When Hillary Clinton visited Libya in October 2011 after Gaddafi was killed, she said on camera, "We came, we saw, he died." She was laughing. Gaddafi was dead. The gold was gone. More than 143 tons of Libyan gold went missing just before Gaddafi was ousted. It has never been found. $150 billion in Libyan currency reserves stored in Western banks also disappeared without trace. No investigation, no charges, no accountability. Now, zoom out. Africa sits on 40% of the world's gold, 80% of its platinum, 15% of global oil reserves. Africa accounts for 13% of the world's population and just 2% of its gross domestic product. Yet it holds 40% of the planet's gold, the richest continent, the poorest people. That is not an accident. The Congo holds gold, diamonds and cobalt, the minerals inside every smartphone on the planet. If you are born in the Democratic Republic of Congo, you will be lucky to make it past age 50. The country that makes the world's technology cannot afford electricity. Look at every country the West invaded in the last 50 years. Iraq, Libya, Congo, Afghanistan, Haiti, Mali, Sudan. Ask one question. Who controlled the natural resources before? Who controls them after? In Iraq, oil production was nationalized under Saddam. After 2003, United States and British oil companies signed contracts worth hundreds of billions. In Libya, Gaddafi had begun removing oil concessions from Western companies. After 2011, those contracts were reversed. In Congo, every leader who tried to nationalize mineral wealth was removed or assassinated. The pattern is not subtle. It is a business model. Invade, destabilize, extract, call it democracy, call it humanitarian intervention, but follow the gold. The gold never lies. 143 tons of Libyan gold, missing. $18 billion of Iraqi oil money, missing. 15,000 artifacts from the cradle of civilization, missing. The wealth of an entire continent, extracted for centuries, still flowing out today. The West did not go to these countries because they were dangerous. They went because they were rich. And when you understand that, you understand every war of the last 100 years differently. This is not conspiracy. This is documented in official audits, in declassified emails, in parliamentary records, the story behind the story. Subscribe, share this video, because the gold was not lost. It was taken, and someone knows exactly where it is.